You're on.
All right, good evening. This is the July 21st meeting of the Charter Committee. We have a couple of people, one out tonight, one's going to join by Zoom, and Charlotte's not going to be here. Rob will be joining by Zoom. And for tonight, we're going to go through the review. It's kind of a recap session in some respects. We're going to get caught up again, go through the charter document that we have so far. We've made some updates recently, and I need to go through that. And talk about, we've had a lot of discussions about having people in that might be impacted if we go to a strong town manager, changing reporting relationships or appointment relationships. And so we're going to talk about that, how we want to proceed with that. And then also updating our tracker documents some, make sure we're in sync on that, because it's important that we're all think we're going in the same direction here. It's hard. It's a big crowd, so do the best we can. All right, and we got Anthony and Mel, although the screen says Mel is Rob, but we know who's who. That's for the people in the back office. All right, so Mel and Anthony, you want to start us off with going through the document? Hi, Rob, we see you there now. Oh, I see it's your name. It's not. I get it now. What the story is. It's when he takes his video off, then we just see his name. So it's not Mel as Rob. That's the box for Rob.
Okay.
Okay, we got it.
Okay.
So does everybody have a copy of the document that I sent out?
Anthony, could you show the actual draft sections of the, starting with Article 3? Good evening, Madam Chair and members of the committee. I think it's been a while since we kind of went back and looked at the executive section. So we're catching up on, I think, a couple weeks, but wanted to kind of give you a flavor of where I think some of the open issues are in this document. So let's start with section 3.1.2, which is this is part of the select boards section. And this is the wordsmithing that has been done to clarify when the select board members can work for the town. And I've limited it to these legally authorized tax work-off programs. Not something I love putting in a charter, frankly, because they're kind of a unique thing and may not stand the test of time. But for the time being, they're pretty standard programs in municipalities. So I think we can refer to them in that manner. And then also that no member of a select board can serve as a chair of another multiple member body. So that's where I think the committee is at. And maybe stop there and get feedback.
Everybody good with that?
Well, I still have one question about being on the select board and being an employee. It goes back to if you're a member of the board and you could be coaching a high school sport, which would be an employee of the town. Could the board of the selectmen, or the select board, make an exception of something like that?
Right.
Well, Joe, so I think there's issues around the conflict of interest law of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, which I think you're all familiar with because you have to get trained in it. And that there are many ways, there are ways for this situation referred to happen. I believe the select board can either make that individual a special municipal employee or maybe have a disclosure or something. There are aspects of the conflict of interest law that allow such a situation to exist. What this is a special act, and it is stronger, or it goes further than the conflict of interest law, and says, employees of the town may not serve as select board members. Now, if that's not what this town wants, that's fine. But that's what it says right now. Other than these work-off programs, so you couldn't be a coach, you couldn't work, plowing snow with the town, or work in the recreation department in the summer and things like that.
Don't we really mean full-time employees of the town? Can't be on the board?
Or say like not eligible for benefits or something broad or.
That would do it.
Yeah.
Like that not be a full-time employee of the town?
Yeah, and then you could be
that would take off the tax work-off thing,
right,
too.
any minor, association, even if it's compensated, you could do a temporary part-time thing.
Because I didn't even think of Park and Rec too, though. Maybe it's a situation where someone is on a select board but still wants to run be part of the swing program or something like that. which-
Too bad.
Two questions. What is part-time? Is there a definition of part-time? We should make sure that if we're going to use a distinction, what are we including or excluding? And so so if the HR director reduces her hours from 40 to 32 per week, is it then okay because she's working 8 less hours?
I think the cutoff is like 19 and a half hours or something is, above that is considered full-time and under that is considered.
Yeah.
It give benefits.
Yeah,
under there.
exactly. That's when you become
benefits.
benefit eligible, yeah.
19 and a half.
I
So,
would question if we're making concessions for a very unlikely scenario.
oh, I think probably, yeah. I don't know that it's happened in the town's history,
So, like,
but,
why put it in the charter?
what's that? Oh,
Me,
oh, you mean the coaching? Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, no, okay.
That's why I thought of it, you know.
But no full-time employee ever, yeah, ran.
Why put what in the charter? The whole.
Why? I feel like we're trying to come up with scenarios that this would apply to that really are unlikely, aside from you coaching. But instead of just saying no person may serve on the select board while at the same time serving as a town employee, and then stopping there.
I don't have a problem with that. Mine was more like a question. You know, is there a way to solve it? If not, then leave it the way it is.
Well, I mean, you can always put in, there's some way unless,
I like
Unless-
I like to use the full-time,
okay, but,
and then that eliminates a lot of the,
working 20 hours or
Yeah,
more? So the tax work off people, none of them work 20 hours? No, because then they get benefits, they
well,
wouldn't do that,
and
yeah, right.
and then if the select, I guess
They would do 20 hours a week.
use the special
Permanent,
municipal employee.
I don't know. I mean, the thing is, you don't want to put this in place and then have a situation where it's got somebody said, I want to coach this team, and gee, I can't because of this. I mean, I just, you don't want that. There ought to be some exception process for it, right?
Well, is there a way to have an exception that's not in this charter? Because I feel like with any of these statements, we could sit here and think about exceptions, but do we want to put them in the charter?
Right.
Okay, so that instead, should we have something in there unless
Approved by the select
approved
board,
by, yeah, who's going to approve it? The select board, right?
I guess.
Yeah.
But I mean, then again, are they gonna have half a dozen people coming up that are coaches?
No, but even if it's one, if it's a small town, I want to coach this team, and we need the coaches, and then they can't do it because of this. I mean, it's just,
It is tough, though, because you couldn't have the select board make the
No.
exception because the person's on the
No.
select.
I know, that's what I mean, exactly, I know, exactly, that wouldn't work, so how do you do it? Yeah,
Maybe
All
we
right.
do, maybe we do just leave it.
just leave it the way it is, no exception. Well, you have to, still gonna have the tax people, that's still an exception, right? Or not?
Well, can we
Right.
say, like, something for the purposes of the charter, a town employee should be defined as someone working a regular position and eligible for benefits or something? And then,
I want to defer to the consultants. How are other towns handling this? Like, how do they handle exceptions? Because there's always an exception to the rule, no matter what it is. So how do they handle it?
say approved.
I think in a charter, it's hard to have a lot of exceptions, and as we've been discussing, they're sort of getting more complicated, and, people are questioning, well, what does that mean? And so my sense is communities either don't have anything and rely on the state's conflict of interest law to regulate it, or they have sort of blanket restriction and stick with it.
Oh, I see, so either you don't have anything, or you have a blanket description. If you don't put this in there at all, then the conflict of interest law covers it.
Now, could you say no person may serve on the select board while serving as a full-time town employee, and then define the full-time employee as something? You could do that. But I'd say you're asked what most people do. I think they tend not to have too many exceptions. They either have they don't have it at all, or they as I said, they don't create exceptions generally. But you may do that.
Of course, the other exception would be, how often are you gonna have a town employee who's gonna run for a select board, right?
Right.
That's
And
kinda
then you
my
got
thing.
kind of conflict of interest laws that cover you, so maybe we just leave it out. I don't know, what do you think? Or do you think it
You
should
know,
be
so
there?
what happens is, let me give you an example. Let's say a police officer or a firefighter or a Department of Public Works employee wants to be a select board member, and they, work for the town. And so they are eligible to do that, and some do in some towns. But when you get to the conflict of interest law, then they seem to have a lot of times when they have to recuse themselves or not vote or be put in a difficult position. And so a lot of times communities just don't want to deal with that, or they think there's an inherent conflict of interest when you have an employee serving as a select board member, so they don't have it at all. Others don't have a problem with it, and like you say, maybe it doesn't happen that often, or it's just not an issue they want to have. So it's really up to you. If you want to think about it more, that's fine, or you want some input from others.
Kyle wants us to make a
We
decision.
can change this down the road.
I agree, actually, this one, we've talked about this one enough. Like so many of these things, it's not like there's a right or wrong answer, it's just
Yeah.
you just gotta decide what's the best for us.
Simple is good.
So, simple meaning you leave it in, say, no, we can't happen, or you just take it out and let the conflict of interest laws do it. We don't have it now, right? We don't
I
have
don't
anything
believe
like
you
that
have
now?
any restrictions now.
No.
If you forced me, I would, I think, reverse my position and say I'd leave it out and rely on the conflict of interest laws.
I think that's the cleanest way to do it.
Okay,
It makes sense,
I
yeah.
agree with that at this point, yeah.
I mean, I'm the one who asked several meetings ago, would we let the town manager? And we all said no, but realistically speaking, is it, yeah. So are we going overboard and oversolving something? So I would be leaning a little bit toward the deleting it and relying on the conflict of interest. And not putting lots, and sticking to our mission to not put lots of stuff in the charter.
Yeah, I like that too.
Yeah.
Okay, everybody good with that?
How about the second sentence that relates to a multiple member serving as chair of other
No,
bodies?
I think that should be there.
Okay,
Yeah?
I agree with that one.
Yeah.
okay. All right, good.
So, Rob,
All right.
do you have anything you want to say on that? Are you okay with this?
I'm good with it, with what you just decided.
Okay, thank you. All right. Voila.
Okay, very well. We will go to 3.13E, which is a very key part, which is which officials, department heads or town officials, select board appointing independently of the town manager. So they're making the appointment themselves. No, at least as this, with the way this reads, there's no necessarily input from the town manager, although the select board could ask for it, but it would be voluntarily, they don't have to. Right now, we have, of course, the town manager, who the select board appoints, the town council, and the chief of police and fire chief.
I don't think that's really been determined yet. I think we're still discussing that from where I
Okay,
am on this.
so that's where this stands. Now, I think the important thing to note here is that in this provision, the select board do not appoint any employees of the town. And that includes police officers and firefighters. So, and we'll get to that down as we talk a little bit later with the town manager. But right now, this is where that stands. So you can either discuss it or put it off until you do further work.
Go ahead. You have something you want to say about it? I think, no, we need to talk to the police and fire chief probably before we say that one way or the other,
Let's
right?
don't move on. Let's
Yeah.
at least talk a little bit about it.
Yeah.
I think that's perfectly fine.
Okay, yep.
I think it's, my reading through the charters in other towns, that's generally what we see, is this town manager gets to appoint all the department heads. But the select board keeps fire chief, police chief, town council, and of course the town manager. And they still
Yeah.
do that. And I think that's perfectly legit.
I thought
I'm happy
police-
with that.
I thought strong town manager would include police and fire.
A strong town manager can be strong in many ways, doesn't have to be just that.
Right.
Yeah.
No, but my assumption is.
Yeah, right.
It's all,
I don't read it that way, so.
Yeah, there was a healthy discussion one night about, there was, what, 3
board.
select board members and a couple of other people. It was Jim and, was that the night, Jim and, anyways, that was a
Yeah.
good discussion.
Right.
And I don't think we've had a good chance to debrief on it. There were passionate cases made. So I'm leaning, I think, in the direction you're speaking to. A strong town manager would have all department heads in the town, including town.
I mean, it's
just- police and
it's
fire.
just another department.
Right.
Granted, they have special
Now,
laws
There was a
and other.
question, I asked the question, why do you differentiate with those 2 positions? Public safety, I forget. But, so there was some interesting views expressed by people in the audience that night, and maybe to some extent by us as well. And I don't think we had a chance to bat that around much. It's a big question.
So some of I was in town hall last week, and some of the interesting things that came up in talking to people, it was more like financial people. But, so now you've got the select board who's out of the day-to-day,
Yeah.
and now they're not hiring people, they're not doing contracts, they're not doing reviews, except for these 2 people. So, or 3, 3 or 4, but so it's kind of a different thing. So they're doing the contract negotiations for these positions and reviews and so on. If they're not involved in the day-to-day, they're doing the review of the chief police and the fire chief. I'm still, to me, this is one of those, it's almost what's not, the right way to do, there's not a right or wrong. I mean, you could, theoretically, I guess, or something, they would all report to the town manager because that just, like I said, another department. But it's a big change for the town. And so that's the other part of this, right? So this is not only just right or wrong, it's like it's not broken. Is that something you really want to go down that path right now, or you're going to make a lot of other changes, so just do those and leave this where it is for right now? And so I don't,
Well, I mean, implementation, it could be phased in, there can be timeframes for.
Well,
when it
maybe, but
shifts
you have to put
over.
all that in a charter, otherwise, once you pass the charter, then this is it.
Well, yes, but there should be a phase in for it. You can't change everything on a dime. There's gotta be some runway to make the changes live, so I wouldn't focus on that necessarily. But that can be part of the public comment period as well. I mean, if people really feel strongly that that's the way it should be, then fine.
But
we
we've
can
made a recommendation
reconsider.
before we get to public comment,
Right.
so.
Right.
I still, it's not broken. We don't need to fix it.
The way it's written there, I'm in favor of being a board member and things. I still think the select board should be the people who handle public safety, the person on top. You have 5 people who are considering this important position, not just one person. And being on the board, it's just a feeling I've always had, and I think it's worked out in the past. I haven't seen it. So it hasn't worked. There's been occasions where I know that, I don't want to get into a personal thing, but if the town administrator at the time of hiring one of the last chiefs had their thought, they would have picked someone else who ended up being a fantastic chief that's currently here right now. So so there are situations, I think the board has acted in favor of the public safety of the town. So these are 2 positions I wouldn't change, but that's, once again, that's my opinion.
Well,
But I
it's
think
not
we
just an
said-
opinion in your case, though, because you have experience, so it's almost in your gut. It's not just, it's not just
Yeah.
on
But I think we
paper.
said for those 2, that would be the 2 that would get approval from the select board. But I also see Rob has his hand raised.
Okay, Rob?
Yeah, I think I saw in Karen's proposed list, I'd like to hear from the fire chief and the police chief. We've heard from select board, they went one way. We heard from Jim Duggan, he went a different way. I'd like to hear from those 2 before making a decision.
Tim, do you
I'm
have,
good with that.
Tim, do you have anything you want to say on this? You've been
Yeah,
around
no, I
long,
think,
too?
My thing is, Rob says, it's reasonable to hear the chiefs out on this. I think, my impression when the board was here a few weeks ago, that they view this as important, these as important political appointments that they are loath to give up on. They want to keep that.
Right.
They would see it as a diminution, is that the word, of their power? If it,
Demotion, yeah.
yeah, if the manager had that authority over them. Maybe there can be a dual
Couple of
thing, or
them felt
they,
that way
they
anyway.
approve it. Yeah, a
They
couple
all did. A couple
pretty
of them
strongly,
did.
yeah.
A couple of them felt strongly about it,
Yeah.
right. Okay, so are we good with then this one? We're gonna wait until we talk, should we leave, but we have to have something in the document now. Should we leave it in there now? And then, but we're gonna
Yeah.
talk, but, because we
I'd
said the whole
leave it- I'd
document is
leave it in
still
there now
subject to
and then-
review, but,
Talk about it.
and then, till we
Yeah,
have
we've
that come
got, we
in?
know it's something we're gonna come back on, right?
Yeah. Okay? Everybody good?
Good.
Okay. All right.
Okay, we're going to move down to Article 6, which is the town manager article. And we're going to go to 6.1.1, and I wanted to show you in B, for example. So we're starting to create a common exception to many of these administrative powers of the duties of the town manager, accepting the municipal light and water
I'm
department.
sorry, Mel, can we go back, because I still have a question back on
Okay,
the
sure,
four on the
certainly.
removal. It's-
Certainly.
It's clearer now than it used to be, the wording the way it is and so on, so that's good. 3.4 in that section,
Okay, got it. The removal and
removal and
suspension.
suspension of
Got
town
it. Yes,
manager.
yes.
So, one of the discussions I know we had was, this doesn't mention the town clerk at all. Right now, the town clerk is elected, they're not appointed, and the town clerk is kind of considered kind of a part of the process, or a third party who's not involved in all the politics of it, I guess. So, from our standpoint, the removal right now, it says, filing a written request with the select board. I suppose if you file those things and you have them certified mail and all those things, somehow people actually receive it. I'm looking at 342.
342.
Yeah.
And I'm just, so I'm just thinking that, so there's, somebody gets, say we've got a problem, they're put on leave or whatever, and then you've got these dates where they can file requests to have a hearing and so on, and that's done with the select board. And is that a little incestuous, or is that okay? I mean, because again.
No, I mean, I think these are really just for notice and and to exercise
Right.
a right under the contract. Either party has to file things with,
Right,
either party. So this is an interesting one because most often, this is included in the employment agreement that a town manager has with the town. It might get into a little bit more detail,
okay.
but this creates the overall framework, and many towns feel that it's important to have such a process, at least the basic process in its charter, so that there
Okay.
is no
Okay.
funny business.
So
But
this is
this
just
is pretty standard language,
right.
Betsy.
All right, so then everybody else okay with it, it was just me? I'm good with that, that makes sense to me, actually, and especially knowing that it would probably be in the contract too, I hadn't thought about that, so that's good. So everybody else good with this one?
Good.
Okay, Rob?
Yeah, I actually spoke with Diane Corey, town clerk, and learned that when, I believe it was Anthony Ansaldi, it actually went through her office, not the select board's office. So our practice, if you will, has it different than what is stated here, which I find myself preferring consistency with regard to notice. Notice matters routinely go through town clerk, so I don't see why we would deviate from that.
I'd like to see that, where that is, and then I could speak on that. It might be it could have been in Mr. Ansaldi's contract.
Right.
But unless it's in the bylaws or something, I'm not sure you really have a practice in place.
Okay, then I'll just say consistency from my standpoint with regard to the time stamping with, I mean, the town clerk's office routinely is denying boards and committees that fail to abide by the timeliness of their posting their agendas. This seems no different to me.
All right, we'll take a look at that.
Yeah.
For consideration, town manager may request a public hearing by filing a written request for it with the select board with a copy to the town clerk. But,
You're just suggesting a change.
yeah,
Yeah.
you could kill both birds
Yeah,
here by
right.
saying with a copy to the, for legalistic,
Right, just to make sure there's no
record-keeping reason.
funny stuff going
Everyone's
on
gonna
with
know.
this. Okay, I'm good with that. Did you hear that one, Mel?
I did.
Is
I
everybody
took
else
note of
okay with that?
Yeah.
I think that's fine.
Okay, all right, let's do that. All right, thank you.
Okay, all right,
All
good.
right, so moving on,
now
so
we'll-
you were moving on to,
6:1.1, or is there
all right.
anything before then?
well, it's just the other, at the end of 344.
Yes,
It also talked, the very last sentence, failure to adopt a final resolution will nullify the preliminary resolution, and the town manager shall, at the expiration of time, resume the duties of office. So they've been kind of put on leave, and then you kind of decide, nah, it's okay, we're not going to do anything. But now they're still off until the 21 days is up, or do they go back to work the next day? Am I misreading this?
let me just read it, Kurt.
So you got the,
Yeah, I don't know why it says the expiration of time as opposed, well, I think what they mean at the expiration of the period of time that the select board could adopt a resolution of removal. So if they don't do that, then the town manager returns to duty. But you've got to give the select board the 21 days to consider that, whether they want to adopt a final resolution. That's what
Okay,
that
so
means.
that's if they don't do it, and if they do, then presumably they go back to work the next day.
Well, if
I mean,
they
if
adopt
they decide not to remove, if they have a hearing, and then they say, okay, we hear you, we're not gonna go forward with this, you can stay, we're fine.
they could do that effective immediately, I'm sure.
Or if they just don't get it done in 21 days,
Yeah.
we've got to start over the process if they really wanted to
Right,
do it. I
right.
mean, they sort of blew that time frame, but they
Yeah, just
would have another bite at the apple, right? I mean,
Okay, all right, so we'll go to the wording on
no
that.
double jeopardy.
Awkward, but, yep. Okay, all right, sorry, now go on
Oh,
to
no,
6
that's
now.
quite all right. So if there's anything else, let's talk about it.
Good.
Okay. Again, I think you'll find that your employment agreements will probably,
Yeah, that makes more sense, yep.
probably fill in a little bit more detail. Okay, so
that's a
six,
question, though, let me just, sorry,
Yeah.
let me ask this. So
Yeah.
then, you've got the charter says one thing, the employment agreement says something different. Which supersedes which?
the charter, I believe, special act. Yeah,
Yeah, the charter has the force of law, so the contract will have to conform with it.
I see your
What-
personnel
what,
vibes going off.
What are the red flags that are?
we didn't
going
have a
up in your
charter
mind here?
when they did the
Right,
contracts,
right,
right? So
right. We
that's
didn't have one before, but that's something people have to know now, though.
going forward.
Going
right.
forward, the charter rules.
yeah,
And employment agreements will have to be amended.
or litigated.
Well, current ones, yeah, but then but even going, yeah, right.
Yeah.
But then
Well-
earlier we said, well, it really doesn't matter what's in here because the employment agreement's gonna cover it. But now we're saying, well, the employment agreement won't cover it, this is gonna supersede
well,
that.
the employment agreement may have other factors, severance
Okay.
payments,
So-
or,
Okay, so it
many
can't
different
contradict this, it
elements.
just fills in more
But
detail.
it cannot have a procedure that doesn't conform to this outline in the charter.
All right, so just a note for Charlotte when she does this to update the tracker, that needs to go in the things on the side to note to people, if this goes
Yep.
forward, that they need to know those kind of things for contracts. Okay. All right. Section 6, I promise. I won't.
Okay, all right, so that's fine. So in 6.1, for the first time, you'll see in B, this phrase, this section shall not apply to the municipal light and water department. Now, Anthony and I are kicking around this notion of a combined municipal light and water department. You act as if you have one, but I don't think it's legally authorized, or it's, you're doing it in a way that is conforming to law, but you're just kind of putting it together as opposed to maybe creating it in a more formal way, which we could do in this special act. We're still thinking about it, but right now, this is the language I'm using, which implies that, municipal light and water departments are together in terms of this exception.
Right.
Right.
What I don't understand is why we call them out, we don't call out schools and other things that aren't also.
We could call out schools, but it's pretty clear in the general laws that, that the school committee has jurisdiction. But we'll think about that if there's, because we do call out schools in the later section when it talks about buildings. So maybe we do that.
It just,
Anthony,
I just think, I mean,
we'll think about
you
it.
all know that, okay, so mass municipal, general law and all those things. But if a resident citizen just picks up this document and reads it, they're not gonna know that. And I just think, and maybe there's some place we don't have to do it in every section where we talk about this. Maybe there's another place where you just say, in the very beginning, where you have the definition kind of things, you say,
Right.
we mention it somehow, but someplace it should, I think it should spell it out.
And the reason why.
And why, yeah. Right, exactly.
Okay, we'll look for some language in other charters that maybe are a good way to set it out right up front and then not have to repeat it all the time. I think we should repeat it in some areas, but it's a little repetitive to do it if it doesn't apply. But anyway, the municipal light and water department is one that we are routinely exempting from the town manager's powers and duties, and you'll see it repeatedly in this section. Any questions before we move to D? So D, I think, is an extremely important one for the committee, and from what I can tell, there is not a unanimity of agreement between the parties you've heard from so far. So really, this is the department heads. So we already know, so the first sentence in D is exempting those department heads appointed by the select board under 3.1.1E. That was that exception before, could include the police and fire chiefs, will probably include the town council. But, so the town manager would not appoint those people that are under that 3.1.1. They would not obviously appoint the elected town clerk, who is a department head. They would not appoint the department head of the municipal light and water department, or however we refer to that. And I believe we've heard previously that the library director is probably someone who should be exempted from this town manager's appointment of department heads. So those are the exceptions. Other than that, the town manager shall appoint and remove all other department heads. And here's a phrase which we're going to have to reckon with: subject to select board approval. Now, I believe you heard from your town manager that he didn't think that that was required for, you already have the police and fire, if that's the case, and others, but for all other departments, he indicated that he should have those appointment authority without select board approval, and of course, that's the town's decision. In a previous memo, we did talk about there's different ways for the select board to approve. Sometimes the select board will affirmatively have to approve or confirm an appointment. Other times, they can just veto it within a certain period of time, and if they don't do that, they can't get a veto, it goes into effect. So there are different ways to affect this select board approval. You don't need it, but it's typical that it's in towns, town governments. So we should talk about that.
Are all of these positions, like department heads, part of a search committee? I'm looking at you, Kevin. And are there representatives from the select board that may be part of that search committee if they choose to be? And could that be their voice and influence as part of the process? Or are these just send in your resume, we look at it, we interview, and we're done?
Well,
Any ideas?
if the town manager or the town administrator is an experienced town manager, And they do not want to bring in a department head appointment before the selectmen and get defeated.
Right.
That would be pretty fatal,
Right.
not a good vote of confidence. So what my experience is that, if the town manager has a screening committee, he might put a select board member on there, or just update the select board on a more frequent basis, maybe confidentially in case of department head, what's happening. So you don't have, I would suggest not putting additional requirements on there, but I think you'll find that a town manager, in order to affect select board approval, if that's what you choose, will figure it out.
Yep.
And engage the select board or some process that would give the select board confidence to approve the appointments of a manager.
I also don't want to go down the rabbit hole of the library director, but I didn't know that was an exception either.
Why is it an exception?
I don't know.
I thought we determined that there may be some different
Laws.
laws regarding the libraries, but we haven't gotten into that yet, so I don't know whether there are or not.
I know there was one select board member who said that it was written there that it was separate, but I've never seen anything about it.
Mel and Anthony, do you know anything about that? Are the libraries,
Can't imagine.
are there separate laws for libraries and how they're set up and so on?
There may be, but, I think your charter could overrule those. That's my sense. Defer to Anthony. But the question is, do you want to do that politically? Is that something that, I don't know what the tradition is. I got the sense that the library was a little viewed differently and not, definitely part. We would have to get your help to find if there's a charter document for the library or a special act or something.
Right.
But I believe if you wanted to have a different way of appointing a library director, a charter, special act charter could probably accomplish that.
I think the trustees are pretty used to appointing
No, I know.
their directors, so that
But
they.
that's true with all the elected
Well-
boards.
Right.
Yeah,
And then
but
you have a
they're
strong
director.
manager with all these
Well, not the
exceptions.
employees that work there.
Yeah, that's a good point, yeah.
Are they
There are,
hire and fire?
I think that they've traditionally been, a little bit separate from town government for most purposes, aren't they? Library kind of does their own thing, I mean,
I don't know.
yeah, I don't
I
recall
didn't know
either,
whether
but.
the trustees hire the employees down, to the library clerk and what all.
And the supervising and
I
so
think they
on.
used to, but I don't know now. Maybe things have changed, but,
All right, so that's something else we're gonna have to figure out the library. That's gonna be another priority then thing.
yeah.
Okay.
And is the cemetery a different division of the town, or is it part of DPW? Do you know, Joe?
It's not currently part of the DPW.
There's a cemetery commission. There are three commissioners.
There's three commissioners.
And there's a,
That's a cemetery
Director.
department. For a short period of time, there was an MOU with the DPW, but the commissioners, the cemetery commissioners backed out of that MOU. So right now, they're completely separate.
okay,
Most towns, the cemetery department is part of the DPW.
yeah. And they have a director of the cemetery, presumably, right?
Yeah.
That, someone that
Yeah.
reports to that board, and so maybe that's another exception, I don't know.
Well,
Or,
That'd be an
that's
exception.
one of those things you look at further down the line when we start looking at elected boards and whether they're going to continue to be elected
yeah,
under the charter.
right. Yeah, whether maybe there's some special legislation around cemeteries too. We don't know yet, but.
Some of them, if I'm not mistaken, some of them are set up so it's part of the DPW, but the funds that are there for certain things remain with the commissioners. I don't know
Yeah,
what the
yeah.
funds are for the maintenance or whatever it is. There's
It
certain,
makes sense that it would be under DPW now,
Yeah, it
but,
should be. Every place else in the world it is.
Yeah.
Okay, so from my standpoint, the main question here really is the subject of select board approval, right?
yeah.
I think
So-
that's a key point. There was another point I should have mentioned, so then you see the next sentence, for department heads under the jurisdiction of an elected body, the town manager shall consult with the respective elected board, commission, or committee prior to making appointments or removals. So that really is what they have to do. I think the idea was that, you have a lot of these in the memorandum of agreements now. They want to get rid of those informal agreements and put those together. So that's sort of a compromise, I think, where the town manager doesn't have to get permission of these elected boards. I'm thinking about planning board, recreation board, and some of these other elected boards. And if you choose to include the library, they would have to do the same with the library board. So I did want to mention that. Also, that's these elected boards, you need to confirm that's what you want there.
Definitely expect that at a minimum. But can we talk about the subject to select board approval?
That seems cumbersome to me. If I were the town manager and I had to go to the select board and assemble all of them for every appointment that I want to make for people that are going to report directly to me, just seems like a burden.
I agree. Do you think that the idea of having a veto within a short amount of time, it just adds I don't know if accountability is the right word or something like that, somehow?
It introduces uncertainty to the process. It's like, I'm gonna hire this person, but within 30 days.
But I better make sure that
Yeah.
I know this person is gonna be acceptable to the select board. Is that good or bad? That thing could be a bad thing, could be a good thing.
But if you do it up front, I mean, and we've talked about this before, those decision matrices, responsible, accountable,
Yeah.
and consulted. Obviously you're gonna consult with all these people during the process.
Maybe not the select board for every direct. for
No,
every
no,
person
but
you're
I'm talking
hiring.
about like Park and Rec and all the others. You're gonna get input
Oh,
from a
for that part
variety
of it, right?
people.
Right.
But at the end of the day, you're accountable for the decision.
I think it's going to be important to the select board that they have that kind of a fail-safe or whatever. Maybe there's a rogue town manager in the future and they don't like, chances are this is going to go right down the line. I think in the previous memo that I don't have it in front of me, that Mel and Anthony sent, there were 3 examples of how towns handled it, select board approval. And I recall there was one example, I think it was from the town of Groton, where there's a time frame the board has to affirmatively, approve the town manager's selection within a certain number of days, or it doesn't happen. And there were other versions of they can vote to disapprove it, which I think is, it's kind of silly to take a vote to disapprove. I mean, you just don't vote to approve something. But to me, there'd be no, the board saying, well, the town manager made that appointment. We did, they can't just sit on the sidelines, let time expire, and they didn't disapprove of it, so it becomes. I liked the option where they had to weigh in on it and they had to affirmatively agree to what the manager was proposing, or not, and start the process over again. But that they couldn't get a pass, in other words, for some of the appointments that were being made. They had to weigh in on it.
Besides it being awkward, the hiring person, I just also think the person's being hired, okay, we're gonna hire you, but you have to wait 2 weeks or 3 weeks for the select board to say yes. I guess but I guess, maybe that's just the way it is. I don't know, I guess it happens in big businesses too.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Well, now they're coming in for the board to hire them. The manager doesn't, or the administrator doesn't have the authority to make that offer currently, right? That's the board, only the board does. They're the
Right.
hiring authority, they're the
Right.
appointing authority. So the individual has to come in to meet the board anyway, before they're appointed.
Well, not necessarily, they could just keep paperwork, they don't have to come in and see the board. I think that would be an extra step.
Well, I think, I agree that it's kind of an extra step, but I think it's been done that way for a long time. They bring them into, even if it's all said and done, it's just like a meet and greet. They come in and, the board kind of blesses them and away they go.
So, Tim, were you, I'm trying to, I looked through my folder, see if I could see where, maybe that, so was there something written about that here you could have the select board have approval or veto? Veto would require an affirmative, it's, I guess, different than approval, right? They only can veto,
Right?
right? They don't have to,
They had, yeah, one was it
And-
had to be a veto within a time frame, or it was
Right.
like a kind of a constructive approval if they didn't exercise
Right.
the veto. And,
Right.
you know, that's kind of an easy way out, I think, sometimes.
the third way would be to put in here what you've got in the next sentence about consultation with, but that's vague. So it could be, we could have, there's 4 options. No involvement by the select board in the appointment of these, none. No mention of select board involvement is one option. Probably doesn't fly. The other is outright approval of. The other is veto power. And the other is the town manager shall consult with the select board.
So basically, the consult with would be just making them part of the hiring process.
Courtesy, it could be regarded as
Courtesy.
going through
Here's
the
the resume, you
motions.
got a problem? If not,
I mean, if I were on the select board, I wouldn't want to waste my time with a courtesy if I know that my voice doesn't matter regardless. I mean, I don't need a courtesy.
So you're saying take that option off the table?
I mean, I'm of the opinion to just remove subject to select board approval.
That's what a strong town manager is supposed to bring to the table. And yes, it's a change.
it's a big change.
It is. It is. Things change.
Just to be clear now, we're just talking about department heads here.
Yep.
Right.
Okay.
The other thing you could do here is add certain other positions to the exception.
Yeah, that's what we need.
So I'm
We just
saying-
need an appendix with all the
Right.
exceptions.
So I'm sitting here and thinking, does the select board, well, want, need, what, the people to approve the hiring of a director of HR? Does that, should that, does that need? There's no right answer to that. There's history, right? There's,
Yeah. I don't
And then we,
think they
and then we
need
have to
it.
do the go forward look. I mean, we're bringing in 1,000 new units of housing down the street times X many people. I mean, they have bigger fish to fry, perhaps. But it still goes back to how do they keep connected to the process? Because I think that's incredibly important, that oversight and flow of information
And even
that
the new people
part of
feel
the
like,
piece.
oh, I've met the select board, I know who they are, you know?
Yeah, but
Feel
that's
small to
easy.
do that, is that?
Yeah,
That's easy.
Yeah.
That's it. You can do that.
I think no matter what we come up with, the select board is gonna want to continue to approve department heads.
Oh, that
I mean, it's-
was
it's-
clear from our last meeting.
right.
That's pretty
It
clear.
was-
I mean, I worked for 2 municipalities. I was appointed department head by the mayor, but still had to go to town council for final approval. So I sat around with my hands while we waited for that. But that's a big city, so everybody looks,
Yeah, I mean, if we,
and for most, any action that's gonna be taken under this particular act, nothing's gonna be any big problem. I mean, I don't see that 2 or 3 times a year the select boards will be telling the town manager, no, I don't want this guy, you know, we have.
Well, a smart town manager is gonna sit down with
Yeah, yeah,
the
make
board
sure.
members offline and say,
Absolutely.
Right.
this is what I'm gonna
Increases
propose.
it before they get there.
But
You're
that,
not gonna have a
right.
blow up in public
Which-
about
Which is
it.
what this really drives. It really drives to make sure that that's done as part of the process.
Yeah.
I mean, basically,
That-
right?
that
That's
they're-
really what it does.
Everybody, are you all okay with this
Right.
before I bring it to
Yeah,
your
'cause
board?
you're not gonna, you do that, you get negative, then you got other problems, right?
Yeah.
Well,
right,
then
you
that
got
would
more
be
problems than that.
consulting with the select board, right? Not seeking their approval, I mean, it's basically politicking, consulting.
Well, it's, yeah, because
It's
you know
the
you have to get their
decision-making.
approval, so you're consulting
I
first.
agree with you.
Yeah.
More nicely, it's
Yeah.
informational in nature at that point, right? You're giving the courtesy of informing them the background and the rationale for hiring that person. So there's one of the other considerations here is that night when we had that good discussion with people, I left that meeting and after reflecting on it, thought, I would love to see the select board get out of day-to-day operations and leave that to a town manager.
I agree.
Yeah. And
A
focus
better
on
segregation of duties.
bigger picture.
I don't know what that means. What I
Yeah.
just,
No,
what-
but
I
the
think,
just
it would,
is true.
I think it would drive efficiency. I mean, if
Yeah.
you have a single point to, make decisions and have action versus we have to get the entire select board together for all these decisions.
I guess the other side of it, you could say, not saying, if you take out the required select board approval here, doesn't mean it can't happen. It doesn't mean that they can still procedurally or process-wise still bring people in and still do that, like we do with the police officers now, which they don't technically have to do, but they do it.
You bring them to the next
So you
meeting.
could still, so it's not in the charter that you have to,
Yes.
but we could still say the process in this town, because it still feels right for Littleton to still do that it's small enough and the select board wants to feel part of it and they want for
Yeah,
a while,
I
and then
think-
over time, that could very well change, but it's not in the charter anymore that they have to.
Well,
Right.
to Tim's point, any good town manager would do that anyway. They wouldn't just bring in a department head without talking or introducing them to the select board.
Yeah, and they've got the budget as guardrails, so they can't bring in someone and pay them an exorbitant salary. I mean, there's checks and balances along the way. It streamlines it, and this is the opportunity to help position the town for a future.
What you made, that just struck me 100% true when you said to take the everyday workings out of the hands of the select board. Believe it or not, 20 years ago, when I was on that town government study committee, it wasn't as forceful as this was. It was more information gathering. Even back then, we said we had to come up with a way to give our town administrator at that time more authority. And so we're back to the same thing 20 years later. We weren't effective 20 years ago. I mean, we had many discussions about it, but it never came up. But you do want to take the everyday aspects of running the town government out and put it with professionals.
I mean, no offense, but I was shocked that they approved payroll.
Oh,
Stuff like that. And granted, the oversight piece is important, but there's reporting and other ways to establish that.
but
But
it's, yeah.
I'm just like, wow.
The warrants, yeah, that was interesting to see how they really wanted to hold on to that. And you could just make the change that, the manager and the accountant, they're the signatories on the payroll. It's available in my office on Friday afternoon and all day, and you want to come in and pour through the warrant, have at it. But we don't need a majority of the board to sign the warrant.
Not unless there's some general law in yikes.
Right.
Yeah,
All
well,
right, so
that we would
let's
need to.
get to this. So Mel and Anthony, I have another process question. So
Yep.
we go through and we come up, this is our recommendation for a charter. When the select board gets that, can they go through, well, we like this, but we don't like that, and we're gonna change this and change that before it goes to town meeting? Is that how it
Yes.
works?
Yes. I think, as far as I know, the select board appointed you,
Yes,
and you're recommending things to them.
so they can change the recommendation and then go to town meeting with what,
Yes.
okay.
Anthony, is that your
I was going to
understanding?
mention that too.
That's correct. That's correct.
Another
Now-
reason for,
Well, so then, as part of our
Almost
recommendation,
go the other way on that, Alan.
and I think I flagged this to you in that response when I sent that file, is I know implementation of this is, or I believe implementation of this is out of scope of the charter committee, but I would love to put forth some best practices about how this change gets done. Like we said before, it's not you flip a switch and all of a sudden everything changes upside down. It's phased in over time at certain milestones, something to give them some assurance that the world isn't gonna blow up after this. or
Well, when
goes
when
forward.
you finish drafting, there's going to be a couple things that are going to be part of the charter. You're going to have what's called a transition section, and to the
Oh,
extent
beautiful.
that we
Perfect.
that we make any changes, We will we do it. We always put this. This is like the last section of the charter. It's how will this be phased in? So for the example of, yeah, I actually the thing I'm thinking about is like the current contract of your town administrator. You might put in something to say, these provisions may not apply to it will be applied to the next renewal. Yeah, I forget exact language, but it won't affect the person currently under contract. You could put that type of thing in your transition section. And then the other thing to just note is that one of the things that you will produce that comes from this body is a report on why you made the decisions that you made and suggestions to the select board about things to pursue that may be outside of the scope of a charter.
Okay, thank you. All right, so that's good. So now we're still back to this, subject to select board approval, in or out. My inclination, honestly, now is to take it out because they can put it back in if they want. And if we put it in, they're not going to take it out.
Yeah, it sort of argues for making the stronger case because you know it's going to get watered
Right,
down
right,
after the
exactly.
public hearing,
Yeah.
right? So,
Leave it.
So take it out?
I would vote for taking it out.
Take it out with some.
Yeah, okay. Got it, Mel?
I got it. Okay,
We took it out?
We took it out.
okay, now,
I wasn't looking.
Okay. If there's a vote, Alan votes no.
okay. As part of, the second part of the D, the section D, is that who appoints all the employees of the town? And I believe that currently it's mostly the department heads. But in some cases, they may go directly to the select board. Sometimes they're made by the elected board. In this case, what we're suggesting is, except for the municipal light and water departments, the town manager shall approve department heads' appointment, regardless of who, whether it's an elected board or not. The department head is making the appointment, and the police and fire, they would be making the appointments, and they would be approved by the town manager. And basically, I think the town manager is looking to see if those hirings were made in congruent to policy and, competition and merit and fitness and all that stuff. Really, that's the town manager's approval criteria.
So the way this is written, that would apply to police and fire as well?
Correct. That's important to know, because I believe currently, I think there was some confusion about who really did it, but it appears from the laws that you've adopted that it really are the select board makes the appointments of the police and fire fighters.
No, I think what we determined was the police and fire chiefs actually have authority to do that. And that the select board is still doing that appointment business, but it was not.
Ceremonial.
It was ceremonial, it looked like.
I know there's a strong police chief. I don't know that we ever voted a strong fire chief, but
Strong
we could
fire
find
chief
out.
was first.
Yep.
I believe we looked at it and it really is the select board's approval, but I could be wrong.
I don't know.
No, I
For
think
police
when
and
the
fire-
select board was
police and
here, I
fire
remember
only.
Gary saying that technically
No,
it's just
'cause we've-
procedural, and they just do it because they like to.
Right, well, we found that page on the town website that listed the town meeting votes, right? And that's when Gary went back and pulled those up, and it said,
Was that both departments? I thought it was
both.
just,
the police was wrong on that website, but when he went and pulled the town meeting votes on both of them. And they were both
okay.
wrong. I can go back and look at the emails again, but.
Well, in this case, what we're talking about is it would be the town manager's approval. It would be actually the department head's appointment, but it has to be approved by the town manager.
Okay, and I guess to some extent that may depend on whether the police and fire chief report to the town manager or not, right? Because if they don't, then that's
right.
kind of awkward,
Yeah, yeah.
or
Yeah,
not
so that would fall
congruent or
under the
something.
3.1 section.
Or maybe not. I mean, if it's procedural and you make sure that all the policies are being followed, then it really doesn't, it could still be okay too, but it's just another level of overhead.
Yeah, I was thinking about that. Just
Yeah.
the administrative overhead and burden to
Yeah.
approve every employee of the town.
Right. It's a lot.
Yeah.
Well, presumably the budget drives a lot of this too, right? Like if you know you've got X many new hires in the next year and you've got the budget, then the department head should be able to manage.
Yeah, it's just the
Budget,
who.
and
It's
then-
just that you're
yeah.
just getting down to the who. I mean, because here's somebody's not hiring their cousin or their brother-in-law or whatever else, you don't know.
Well, we have an HR department now.
Well,
Aren't they part of the process?
Right.
I would hope so.
And I'm not sure the town manager would really know that, right? Like, he's not going to know the department
It may
head's
not, but-
relationship
right,
with
Right,
their employee
Right.
or potential employee.
Yeah.
And all this almost just seems like procedural. Again, one of those things that it would just happen, but is there really any meat behind it?
I think, you're right that sometimes this can be seen as pretty standard but if you're talking about giving an individual, executive or administrator authority over operations, supervision of the town departments, approval of employees is pretty important.
Is this more of an accountability function?
I think so.
Okay.
Basically, it gives the town manager authority so that department heads aren't picking people who aren't qualified or maybe have conflicts, maybe not legal conflicts, but other kind of conflicts, they're just overseeing. There's a lot of municipal labor laws. I think the town manager obviously would rely on the HR department, but ultimately they would approve appointments, and I think that's a very important authority of a town manager if you're trying to create a stronger town manager.
Terminations also. For the
Yes.
terminations, perhaps more importantly. Yeah.
So as long as you have the right town manager, it's all great.
Well, the select board will appoint the
Right. If it's not, the select board will terminate him.
And we've done that a lot. We don't want to have to do that a lot. But it is scary. I mean, we all know, we see concentration of power right now, and it doesn't feel real good. So we gotta, you kind of want to make sure that it's commonsensical, and there are some checks and balances in the process.
If you remember, if you go back to Article 3, go back up to Article 3 where the select board has authority. There's something about of a personnel system. Go up, it's higher, it's earlier in the authority of the select board. Keep going down a little bit.
H,
Yeah.
Yeah.
313H.
You have under this charter, the select board approves a personnel system. And it really is the rules of the road of how to hire people in this town. What the classifications are, what the compensation ranges are, what the benefits are. And so, I think if this is going to be a system that's going to be approved by the select board, I think it's very appropriate that the town manager implement it and approve hiring that meets this guideline under H.
Okay, that's
I'm
a
okay
good,
with
I
that.
think that's a good,
Good point, yeah.
like I said, we don't want to,
Okay.
we be double dipping here, right? Putting extra stuff in. It's good.
So is the thing we're debating, is it the except for sentence? Is that what we're, except, and, so except for municipal light and water, town manager's got shall approve department heads' appointments and removals of their team, right? Is the remaining question whether we will end up adding police and fire to that sentence?
That is a question, for
Well,
sure.
that would be part of 3.1.
Yeah.
Right,
So
and it depends on where they line up,
Yeah.
right?
So if they're added to 3.1, they're in there. Because it says except for.
Oh, right, so it just fall out of that, we don't even have to adjust it here, because it's really there. Well, but this is appointing the chief, how does that work? Except the department heads appointed by. No, I don't think I think it is separate,
Oh,
because
'cause
that's
it's
the department
all
heads
other.
itself, so I think we would have to call it out here if it's not gonna be there.
Well, why wouldn't it all flow? Like, if you're not approving the department head, why would you approve the others?
Maybe you would, but I don't think that's what this says, right?
Well, except for the municipal light department, it
Right.
does exempt them
Yeah,
in that
the
second
question here is
part.
police and fire.
Library, police and fire, but we're not talking about department heads here. And the department heads are making the appointments. It's just the approval.
And library too. You gotta confirm that one. Man, this stuff shouldn't be that hard, huh?
We have too many exceptions. That's the problem.
I know, I know.
Yeah.
Either we're doing it or we're not.
Right, exactly.
Okay, all right, so that's still open.
Okay.
Mel,
All right,
Mel and
so,
Anthony, could you tell me, I'm curious about the last sentence in that paragraph. What purpose does that serve, and does it serve the town's purpose?
Appointments under
Under three,
under this section, on 611D.
Appointments under this section shall be based solely, shall be based on merit and fitness alone.
Wouldn't that be in the personnel policy?
And then,
Right.
I could think of another consideration that might come into play if somebody says, I need $1 million. I guess that could be fitness or merit, I suppose, but I just am wondering, I don't like to put words unless they're in documents like this, unless they're needed for some reason. And I don't know, that seems like a constraining, vague sentence.
And to me, I would expect it to be in the personnel system, not here.
that's
Yeah, well, that's a good point. I think it's
superfluous.
All right, get rid
My
of it.
word of the day.
Thank you, Kevin.
Sure.
All right, we'll take that out. Anthony, can you make that? Yeah, you got that. Okay, good. We make some exceptions. I'm not gonna talk about those until I get further down. Why don't you keep going down, Anthony, to down the list here. Okay.
Jay.
Those are good.
I think that, building on something you said before, some of the committee discussion, J and K are important, I think, to talk about. So J says that the town manager serves as the chief procurement officer and awards and executes all contracts for services and supplies. And they can delegate, as I think Jim Duggan mentioned, how he delegates to a person who's trained in procurement law. But this doesn't include, I just want to be clear, this doesn't include a limitation on amounts or a limitation on types of contracts. It allows the town manager to do these. Now, I think the select board may have, as was pointed out, may have looking to hold on to some of that approval authority. But these are all contracts that are bid in accordance with state law. There's a budget for them. So I don't know. I don't know how you feel about that. And then also with K, it's inspecting and signing all, the town manager would inspect and sign all the payroll and expense warrants. There would be, at least under this language, there's no limitation as far as, payroll is not done by the town manager or only done, up to a certain amount, and then the select board have to approve something after that. So this is putting it all in the town manager's hands, those particular administrative duties.
Kevin, or Kyle?
Oh, I just said I'm okay with that.
Yeah,
I think putting an
As our
arbitrary.
town manager, those are things he should do.
In the time he stopped in, go ahead, you
Yeah.
can finish.
And if, for some reason, has been suggested, the select board decides to limit the amount or the dollar value, let them do that when they review.
They can do it without the charter.
Yeah.
They can just do it from their own.
Yeah.
Yeah, there must be some authorization matrix somewhere, like types of
Yeah,
contracts.
well, and Jim said when he was in here that time he stopped in, we were asking him about procurement when he was walking by that time, we snagged him. And he talked about Mass General Law has so much stuff about procurement process,
Well, yeah,
right?
to be a
It's
procurement
huge.
officer, you have to
Yeah.
have all
So
sorts
it's
of
a big deal, right?
certifications.
So, yeah,
Yeah. I just have a question on that section J. We specifically call out supplies and services, but that kind of excludes construction. as far as, in procurement language, there's supplies and services and there's construction law. Are we intending to include that or not?
Land or real estate or, yeah.
Well, I think that's a good question. I think we were intending to make it inclusive, that services would be for construction services, but Anthony, do you recall if we were trying to carve that out in any way?
I don't believe we were trying to carve it out. I think, relative to the town entering into, some construction for the town, I think it was supposed to be included within there. Within the language that's written, I think.
It doesn't necessarily mean that the town manager manages the contract. So, for example, if the school department is going to build a new school, they probably have a school building committee or something like that, but the town manager would actually execute the contract with the general contractor or other parties to provide services or supplies. But let me check on the construction, because that's a good point, and we don't want, our intent was not to exclude construction.
That's what I figured, yeah. So we might want
And I think that's
clarify
pretty
it.
standard language that includes that in most charters, but we'll double check.
Okay, thank you.
All right, other than that, though, everybody good with just leaving it as is?
I don't know, I got a little nitpicky thing. Is a fire, is a $5 million, I don't know, what does a fire truck cost? $3 million or something? Is a $3 million fire truck fall into services and supplies? I think it's,
It would be.
Capital
I think we said it would, but you still have the capital process, you still have all those other things still fall into place. It's just here, he's executing the he's got to
Right.
make sure that the processes are being followed, right?
right. My concern is more around the word. Somebody could say, oh, a fire truck isn't services and it's not supplies.
Okay, gotcha.
We'll make note of that and see if there's better
Great.
wording that might be more encompassing.
Cool.
And they could say, yes, it is.
Firefighting supply.
Right.
Supply,
I'm
right.
going to supply you with a fire truck.
I need a truck.
Pencils and a fire truck.
And a partridge in a pear tree.
That's right. Okay, all
All right,
right.
we're going to move down to buildings, jurisdiction of buildings. That's Q.
Are we skipping
And
K?
there was, what?
Are we skipping K for some reason?
Let's go down, what did I miss on K?
K.
I thought
I
we
thought we
did that.
discussed
I think we
that.
agreed, no?
Oh, do we all agree on that one?
Yeah, we agreed.
We did.
You weren't paying attention.
I guess not.
They should.
So, okay,
I think the thought was, don't create limits, and if the select board feel that's important, they will raise that issue with you.
okay,
Yeah.
okay.
All right, so
Q.
down to Q. So there's really two components to here. One is having jurisdiction over the use of the buildings, and the other is having responsibilities for maintenance and repair of the properties. And so in the first part, which is the actual use of the buildings, we do exempt the school committee, the municipal light board, the water commissioners, and the library trustees. For example, let's say that the municipal light department wanted to, or a school committee wanted to sublease their space on Sundays to a community group. They have the ability to do that. But for all other town boards and departments, use of town hall, and other facilities like that. I guess here you probably want to look at recreational facilities and whether those should be exempted or not. We did not do that. We do put the town manager for responsibility for maintenance and repair of all town properties, excluding the school buildings. Now, I don't know if that should be exempted by the municipal light and water probably as well.
What about the library? Do we want to, we don't want to accept the library that's under the control of the trustees, because if they had a problem with the building, they'd come to the selectmen in
town's gotta
about
take care
2
of it.
seconds, and the
Right,
FinCom and say, we need a,
But they don't own the building anyway, right?
right, no, but it,
Town does.
right. But they're in the carve-out, like the light and water and the,
Right.
a
Oh, I see here.
building that's under the control of the trustees. But the manager would be responsible for the maintenance and repair of that building.
Right. So that's the same. I mean, the library, that's, a lot of people use their facility, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Right. But the town manager still has to, yeah. Yep.
I see Rob's hand.
Okay, Rob? Thank you.
You know, what stops removing the library from this list of carve-outs?
What do you
The
mean?
only thing I think that would limit you is, well, political considerations, but also if there is something in the underlying charter or organization of the library that prevents it somehow.
Well, that's in a separate matter. Recently had a discussion with a library director, and essentially they identified what I viewed as conformity with if you're allowing advocacy groups with regard to No Kings was the specific example. And, you know, Sam said if we did permit that, yes, they could come in. And if somebody wanted to advocate differently, they were permitted. That sounds consistent with how I think other buildings would be dealt with, except that I don't think you can do advocacy within town building itself. But my point is, I'm not certain that I think there's any value associated with this being a carve out for the library trustees. I even find myself thinking the same way about the light board, and the water commissioners, but maybe that's required because of the unique aspect of the light board being the unique entity legally.
They
But
own
as for
land
library,
sometimes.
I don't find any
Well, they have
value
no
in this
building, and
carve.
they have other facilities across town that they maintain.
But is,
So, Rob, just to be clear, you're saying you don't see, you don't understand why we're making this carve out for the library because it essentially doesn't do anything. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay, thanks.
so the two questions are use and maintenance. Joe, I've got a question about water and electric. Does this include like the poles and the wires? Is that considered town property or town building? I thought the light would, they own all those repairs,
They
the
own
water
all the repairs on
meters,
that.
all that.
All the buildings, the land.
All right, so we're just talking buildings, not the infrastructure, not the,
In land. In
Okay.
case of light and water,
Okay.
they have land too, I think.
okay.
So
I'm
as
okay with
this
taking the
reads-
library out of there. Pardon? Go
As
ahead.
this reads, for the light and water,
Mhm.
town manager would have jurisdiction over, or they would not have jurisdiction over leasing or rental of those facilities. However, they would be responsible for the maintenance and repair.
Yeah, that's the part that I'm confused
That's how
about.
this reads
Right.
today, but we just said that light and water is responsible for their own maintenance and repair.
And they
Other buildings?
yeah, they maintain their own buildings, their own equipment. And
I would think.
So when they need to repair, add on, things like that?
it all comes out of their budget. Like
Okay, if that's true.
Poly lumber, that was bought by the light
Right.
department.
Okay, if that's true, then we need to exclude them. So is there also a reason why, in this case, we talk about municipal light board and the water commissioners versus light and water department like we did everywhere
No,
else?
no, it's a good point, Betsy. No, not really. We're still kind of.
All right, well, let's
work
use
in
a consistent
progress
wording there so we
Yeah.
don't confuse people with that.
there. Yeah.
And then it sounds like we should, I mean, I'm okay,
They should be exempted from both, it sounds like. The
yeah,
use
exactly.
and
They
the-
should be
Maintenance,
exempted
yeah.
from both, and we could probably take out library trustees from the first section.
So,
If he feels otherwise.
That would be
no,
more
I think that's
accurate.
right. Yeah.
So then this gets back to, I think, Rob, it was your question or comment in one of the meetings. If somebody's looking for a space to have a meeting or hold an event, they then go to the town manager as opposed to going to the different
I don't think that's gonna happen, though.
park and rec. Right, but in theory,
Well, it
Town
says that they have
manager.
jurisdiction, it doesn't mean that they have operational
True.
control over
True,
doing
true.
that.
okay.
It would be nice if there were one place to go.
No, I was saying,
But the
in
library
theory,
feels like
kinda-
they're gonna
It's not a
manage their
charter
building.
question, though, that's a
Yeah.
software question.
Yeah, town manager would no doubt delegate, say to Sam, that if you want to hold parties or someone wants to use the library for this or that, you go ahead and do it, you know, he wouldn't worry about it. We wouldn't all end up coming to his office all the time anyway, for him to make that decision.
So it's
Yeah,
more the
that's-
policy of how
Yeah.
it's used versus the,
Yeah,
Community center, same way, right?
keeping the calendar of.
he's the responsible guy, but he can delegate responsibilities for certain things to department heads,
Yeah.
which he would do. Otherwise, he'd get inundated.
Right, yeah. You have to delegate.
Okay, so we're gonna fix the wording there so it's consistent for light and water, and we're gonna leave that in for the first section, take out library trustees, and then add light and water in the the second sentence. Okay? Woo-hoo.
Well done.
Okay, I mean, those are the sections that I thought were the ones that needed to be reviewed, and you've done many of it, and some of the others issues we're gonna have to look back and, look at some of the legal basis, especially around the library.
Yep,
And continue to look at this water commission versus combined light board. But, I think at this point, we've covered a lot of things. And now we're going to be moving on to other boards and commissions where some of these issues will be looked at, in another sort of part of the charter. And, I think it'll tie together, and as we go through, I think it'll help that when you have to go back to this one.
okay. All right, now, why don't we talk about the list of having people come in and talk to us? These people will be impacted by this if we do these things, and all of a sudden, they may not be hired by elected boards, they may or may not be hired by elected boards, and have the folks come in. I know, we can go through the list, because I know Joe, based on his experience, thinks that some of these people aren't really gonna be very impacted by this, even though they're on the list.
Yeah, I don't-
So let's,
I forgot to bring the list of
here,
candidates.
okay, I've got one, right here. So let's just go back from the top and just go down and talk about these different ones, is that all right?
Sure.
Is that good? So, Board of Assessors,
We need to talk with them.
okay,
One of the reasons we need to talk with them is whether or not that we're gonna recommend that Board of Assessors still be an elected position. Because they've had problems in the past of finding people who are running for assessor because there are certification requirements and stuff like that that have to be done, so.
okay, so that brings up another question though, because right now, if we had them in now, we would just be talking about, okay, now all of a sudden you're not appointed by the director, or whoever, whatever we're talking here, right?
Elected.
The board's elected.
The board's elected.
Yeah.
So, and that's not really what there's another section where we're talking about
Yeah,
elected versus
there's
non-elected boards, right?
Yeah.
Two
That's what I'm
questions.
wondering.
Yeah, it's the
So should we
staff.
hold this
and
one
then-
off for later? Because you've got, the board is elected, and then they're hiring, though, then they hire the
Chief assessor.
chief
It would be-
assessor.
Yeah,
Much more efficient if we could address both topics with one
meeting.
meeting.
Yeah.
So if we need to delay, we should, but we don't want to delay too
That'd be the
much.
case
It's
for
kind
a
of a
lot.
package, right? I
Yeah.
mean,
I think we discuss anything and everything.
I know, but we haven't gone through the process yet with the information that Mel and Anthony are gonna give us on this elected versus non-elected. I think they're gonna give us that. Is that next on the package? On the work plan? Anthony's shaking his head,
Yes, that is correct, yeah.
So,
Just to give maybe a little preview, so one of the things that we have, and we already compiled it, is exactly to your statement earlier, which is have the elections for these particular boards or committees been competitive? So that's one part of the analysis. It can show you how many people usually turn out to run for particular positions. And we've got a worksheet that we'll send you, which is an analysis of, using that competitiveness is one piece, but there's other elements to consider. Is this appropriate for being an elected position versus an appointed position? Now, ultimately, the board decides, or you decide whether you want to keep something elected or appointed for your reasons. But those are some guidelines that will help the group look at that data.
So do you envision this is a more straightforward process? This is like a one-meeting discussion probably for us?
I guess it will depend. So I can tell you that, we've already done it. I don't want to get into it now because we haven't
Yep.
done it now, but you've got a number of boards and committees that fall into the not competitive category.
Yeah.
I think someone raised the assessors. I'm just looking at the sheet right now, that they would fall into not competitive. Now, when you're making your decision, you shouldn't just rely on that. You also have to consider the character of your community, how people might react politically to that. But I could see, and then we always recommend that if you're leaning towards moving a board from elected to appointed, you probably then want to have a discussion with some representative of that board before we write that down in the proposed charter.
So I guess my question there, Anthony, is yes, but in terms of getting us up to speed, besides the non-competitive and a couple other things, that's a relatively short discussion. You can get us up to speed and some background on this before we have the discussions with these boards.
Oh, yeah, I
That's what
apologize.
I'm
Yes,
saying.
correct. So
Okay.
that's a full meeting just to
If
go
we
through
want to
that.
do that, I think then for
Yes.
some of these people we're talking about here, we probably want to do them both together.
Yeah, we don't want to bring them in.
Right, no, that
twice.
doesn't, and plus we need, it's a two-part discussion anyway. You need to talk about both, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So maybe the first thing is to go through these, and we've got which ones are elected. So all of those, we would wait. Maybe we just wait to do all of these until after that.
Yeah.
Just do that next step, and then
Majority are
before we bring
elected.
people in?
The majority are elected, so.
So does that make sense for everybody to do that, or should we could go ahead and do something like
But
police
then
and
we just run
fire?
into the whole timing issue then.
That's definitely gonna be a timing issue, but
If we wait too long.
if we wait one more meeting, if we can do this one in our August meeting,
Right.
then we're also don't hit all the vacations that people were inviting in either, so maybe
Yeah.
that's not a bad thing.
I think we need to do police and fire before anything else,
Okay,
so we
bring
can
them in.
finalize Article 3.
Okay,
So we could bring
I like
police
that.
and fire in right away and
Yeah.
and then concentrate on the other ones later on, so.
Yeah.
all right,
We'll have their expertise that they want to give us on elected officials.
Okay, so you want to try to do that for the next meeting if we can, have police and fire in, and then we'll start, and then we'll have the information from these guys on,
That sounds
on the
reasonable.
elected?
Sounds good to
Yeah,
me.
is that a plan?
That's the plan.
Okay,
Okay.
Sounds good.
go ahead, Rob.
The other one that I wonder about is the library, because I think they're required by law to be separate, so might they also be somewhat of a, what are we really gonna do, with them?
So maybe have a library come into it,
Add
police
that-
and
Add them
fire.
to the fire and police, because given that they're, I believe, required by law to be elected, it's not like we're gonna change anything. So I think it's solely a matter of dealing with the MOU pertaining to Sam reporting to, Jim via the MOU, and why not get their insight as to how that works, et cetera, as a first indication of the MOU process and how they feel about it, which might tell us something with regard to other MOUs that we need to discuss.
Just a clarification,
start
there
with the
are some
library?
appointed
I'm sorry, go
library.
ahead, I'm sorry, Anthony, I didn't hear you, my apology.
No, I just wanted to, it is possible to have appointed library trustees. I just wanted to add that clarification.
Okay.
Not to say that you should do it, but it is a possibility.
I did not realize that, so thank you. That was not my understanding, so thank you.
Might be a lot to try to do police, fire,
Yeah,
and,
I
you know,
think I was
with Mel and
thinking
Anthony
too.
next time.
It may be a next, yeah.
Yeah, I withdraw. I thought that there was no decision on our part. Given that there is, per Anthony's comment, then by all means, let's keep them separate, out of the fire and police discussion.
Okay. But we definitely want them on this one. Okay, which they are. Okay, so, all right, so for right now, that's sufficient then to say, we'll try to get police and fire for the next one. Hopefully they'll be available. And then the elected information. And then we can talk, and then we'll do that, and then we'll go through this for the next of them.
Yep.
Okay, so, here's another question, so, this is admin stuff now, this isn't charter per se, but, so right now, we think that we have one meeting scheduled in September so far, right? And what they had done before was they always had us scheduled on the Mondays when the select board wasn't meeting. Well, when it gets to October, November, December, because of holidays and town meeting and so on, that really limits when we can meet. So, this room, though, is taken, the select board's using this room now for their meetings. So, and they don't, almost never come to our meeting anyway, so I don't have any problem meeting the same night that they meet, but we can't do it here then. But Monday night is still, people want to stick with the Monday night at 6 o'clock, that's still where we want to be?
It's fine with me.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're okay, I'll just go ahead and book us the same weeks that they're, just, because we're not gonna be able to just do one meeting a month, we're gonna have a lot to do here now, right?
Right.
We just meet at the library? Is that a
Yeah,
possibility?
yeah, exactly. There's other places, we can do the fire department, the police department, there's a lot of places we can do it, actually. Just gotta find what's available, but,
Does it have to be on video, though?
it should be, just because,
Yeah.
because of what we're doing, it really needs to be,
Right.
it really needs to be.
So
But
then-
but they can do it at the police and fire
they
department.
can.
Oh, yeah, they have capability to do it there, too. Yep. They can do it almost anywhere now. But we're a big enough group that we kind of need a good room to do it. Okay, so I will work on that now.
If I could
Yeah,
interrupt.
sure?
So you're saying we're going to meet on the same night, same time that the select board meets? That's what was just agreed to?
There will be some weeks where we have to do that, yes.
Yeah, I'm
But not on
very
purpose.
opposed. I'm very opposed to that. We have a lot of things going on, upcoming town meeting. I routinely attend those select board meetings more often than not. I use my 2 minutes with one aspect or another. I don't think I ever would have even considered being on this group if I knew there were going to be simultaneous meetings. But you can decide whatever you want to decide, but
Doesn't have to be the same
I don't see myself necessarily attending charter as opposed to select board.
Well, the only other options are we do it a different night of the week. And
Yeah, but
that's
are
hard
they
for
meeting
everybody.
every Monday?
No, it's just that, but there aren't that, because of there's Monday holidays, there's town meeting, which is on is that Monday night? But, oh, no, they have a meeting on the Monday night before the town meeting or something. I've got their schedule. And then there's Thanksgiving, and there's Christmas, and there's just, I've looked at it, and I'm like, well, we do this, it's like one meeting a month, if that's all we're gonna have available to us.
I mean, I'm flexible, you know? Like, I can move the day around if,
Me too. Sure.
Okay, well, I don't know, we picked, okay, so then now,
It's just a play
then
by
the
ear.
question's gonna be, sending out doodles or something to find out, does this Tuesday work for you, and does this Wednesday work, and this Thursday work?
My flexibility is time or location, so
Right,
either way.
well, it's the timing, it's those Monday nights.
Has the select board set up their calendar for
Yeah,
September?
Yeah, it's all done, that's what I'm saying, I looked at it, and we're very limited in terms of if we're gonna meet on other Monday nights that aren't holidays, there aren't very many in the fall. Yep, is there a hand up?
No, I'm wondering about
Oh,
Anthony and Mel. Do you guys, if we want,
oh, yeah.
well, everybody, if we're gonna move off of Mondays, does anybody have any days that, other than Friday and Saturday and Sunday? So we'd be talking about what, Tuesday,
Saturday
Wednesday?
morning, 8 o'clock.
Friday night?
No. By that point, I'm fry, F-R-Y, that I'm fried come Friday. So, anybody have any, we're talking about possibly moving to our meetings to Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday?
Well, we had said Mondays, everybody was set for that.
Right.
So stick with Mondays, and let's just move the location.
Okay, but then Rob is just saying he'll go to the select board meeting, he won't come to our meeting. You know, so,
Well, that's his
This is
choice.
for the
For
month of
the
September,
meetings.
though, right?
no, it's for October, November, December.
Are they?
And it's not gonna be every week, every meeting, but probably half the meetings, probably.
Could we start? I don't know, I know everybody works, but if we start an hour earlier, does that help? Is 5 doable versus 6?
Select
It
board
would be
starts at
difficult
6:30,
for me
right?
to get here
Yeah.
at 5.
I know for,
Yeah, and Charlotte probably had a
like
hard time doing that.
impossible, difficult.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, the select
And
board's-
even that, we'd still have the, well, I guess we could just find another location, we'd still have that issue with, if they're coming in, you know, we'd have to be out of here early if we did use this room.
We could do the library and run across the street, run across the parking lot.
Okay, maybe I'll just send something out and let people reply, although everybody here is saying they're somewhat flexible, you can't say, I can't do Wednesdays or I can't do Thursdays, I'm not hearing that from anybody here, which is amazing, actually. Okay.
I'll lead very boring lives.
It's all on record now.
And Mel and Anthony, do you have any constraints on day of week, evening of week?
Well, I can tell you that I have other charter committees that we meet with throughout the week. Of kind of reserved these every other Mondays for this committee. That isn't to say that you should structure any of your meetings around our availability. We can still provide information, and between the two of us, me and Mel, we can figure out who can attend what meetings, and you'll know that ahead of time.
All right, so let me ask one more question for the team. So if we change it, we want to do it like it's always Tuesday now or Wednesday or whatever we choose, or do we want to keep the Monday so we can do it and then have some of these other meetings on a different night? Because,
Yeah,
you like that better?
yeah, because we all said Monday was
That was kind of the night. right.
preferable, but if we
Okay.
have to move it
So
around.
then, and then that helps them a little bit, because we could use these other meetings then to have people in and so on, because they don't really need to be here for that as much. That's more for our information than for theirs.
Yeah.
Okay, so everybody's flexible with that too.
Got it. On a roll.
You could get the room at the library and we can see the trustees while we're in.
That's right, that'll be easy, huh?
Could I ask a couple, are we done talking about who to invite in in terms of?
Nope.
Oh, cool.
Well, I don't know. So what we said first we wanted to do was obviously police and fire.
Yeah, yes.
And then we were gonna, based on that, we were gonna have some of these other ones in. Yeah, you want to still go, that's a good point. You want to still go through them? Because you thought some of them maybe didn't even, you thought Board of Assessors, yes, we need
Yep.
to.
Board of Health, yes.
Yes.
Cemetery Committee, definitely, yes, because they would be affected.
Yeah, because it's elected, yeah. Conservation Commission is currently appointed by the Select Board.
Do we need to bring them in?
I
Well,
can't,
They have an MO, so the people I put on the list either report, are hired by the board, and that would change. They have an MOU, and that would change, or they're sort of ambiguous. They report to both, and it's not clear or 100% who it is.
It says
So-
appointed by Select Board currently, and we, yeah.
That'll remain, but. I mean, that, we're not gonna change any appointed boards to elected. I assume we're all looking at,
yeah.
once we would turn the other way.
Yeah, I was looking at the personnel part of it, not the elected
Yeah.
versus
No, but yeah, you're
appointed
right, like the
part of
hiring
board.
process.
I was looking at the department
Will be
heads and
different.
who they reported to.
Okay, so they report to the Select Board now.
So-
And that would change the town manager if we did this.
If you exclude them, they might say, how come you didn't ask us?
Right, yeah, well, yeah. All right, so they
Bring
probably,
them in, yeah.
yeah. Light and Water, we've already done them effectively, right?
Not the board, though. We talked to Nick, but we didn't, and we have Joe, but
But,
do we want to have,
But we're not
Yeah.
proposing any changes,
well, combining.
well, we're not,
yeah, or-
I don't think we're,
Officially recommending that yet, right?
they gotta do that on their own. I don't think that's part of the charter.
Yeah.
That's really not the governance structure.
good
I
point.
mean, it's a recommendation. They probably should look at it, or some of those boards, if it's, makes
I
it,
mean,
may not.
what is his name?
Nick,
Nick, he said, yeah, that would be great if you could merge them, but
that'd
he
be- that's
wasn't
gonna
sure
be a
that you,
big deal.
right,
Yeah, and it may not even.
right.
Okay, so for right now, we'll keep them off, Light and Water.
So now, yeah.
Yeah.
All right,
Oh,
Park and Rec.
just an FYI, Madam Chair, not to interrupt, but we do have the light and water on the analysis that we do, so that will be, we do have that in the analysis that we're going to present, just letting you know.
When is that?
What
scheduled to
analysis?
be
You mean
presented?
there's a work plan section on that?
The competitive analysis for other elected officials.
Oh,
So-
that's, you're talking about the boards. Yeah,
Yeah.
okay, gotcha.
Park and Rec, definitely.
Definitely. Planning board,
Planning Board, I would say yes too, because they're,
Yeah.
the library, we talked about that, yes, right? Zoning Board of Appeals, appointed by the Select Board.
Yeah.
Do we need to bring them in?
They've got MOUs.
Well, for the,
What would we ask them?
admin.
Do you still want to be appointed or what? Yeah.
Well, it's the staff part too.
Do they have employees?
If they have a staff, it's,
they have a
One
staff person,
person.
right, with an MOU that.
yeah, it's
Oh,
a
okay.
staff person, but it's part-time.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
Yeah,
really, really
so maybe
part-time,
not.
because it's basically the person takes notes.
Meetings, yeah.
And that's, we don't
can always
need to
invite.
talk with them about anything, I can
I
say.
leave them off and I want,
But the board though, it's, so they're appointed by the Select Board, so we're not saying that would change. All right, so you can always invite them and then say, you can talk to them and say, is this making
Yeah, I
sense or
mean,
not?
you- or you can prioritize them towards the end. I
Right,
mean,
right, it may not make
By
any
the time we
sense.
get to them, we don't want to talk.
All right, the next two are committees. And they're currently appointed by the Select Board, appointed by the Select Board, actually, I guess is why they're on here, the Council on Aging and LCTV.
And they have MOUs.
But that's,
Council on Aging does have an MOU.
no,
There was, who is
The
it?
MOU was dissolved or
Yeah, I don't have it in front of me, but somebody has an MOU.
The LCTV, our employees are appointed and approved by the select board.
And they have MOUs with the town administrator.
LCTV does too?
There's no reason.
who appoints Mark?
Hang on.
Back in the day, we did.
But it's now the town
It
administrator,
says
right?
select, it says Select Board on here. Well, it says Select Board on here. Well, no, it doesn't.
They're,
The town well,
the
select
committee is
board
appointed.
now approves everybody, so, you know. There's no
Well, it says they
department
were-
head out there that they don't approve, so.
Well, this is what I'm not sure. This is the committee, not the employee. That's the thing I'm looking at.
Well,
It's the committee, not the
I'm on the
employees, not
committee.
the, I know, but I'm looking at her sheet. It shows up as the committee coming in, and I don't need, and I think that what we were looking at is really more,
Employees.
yeah.
Well, the employees are flagged with a little X. Some have MOUs.
All right, so what are we saying? Council on Aging, yes or no? It doesn't make any sense. You don't
Nothing.
think, because they're a direct line now, right?
Director.
Okay,
And it's Elder and Human Services.
right, exactly.
Yeah, they don't
Well,
have
that's
any
This is the
employees.
committee, right. All right, and then the LCTV, you're saying no.
We don't need.
All right, fire and police, we've got them on there, so. Okay. Good, all right. Good, Kevin?
So, everybody down here, we're saying would not be invited in, is that right? This long list down here?
There's no immediate change to any of those.
So, finance, I don't know what the top finance position is in the town. What is, does anybody know? Is it down here somewhere? Is there a,
But we have a whole section on finance going forward, a work plan section on finance. So that will be addressed in the future. But
so would the
the treasurer is
finance
now
committee-
also,
Would we eventually have the finance committee come in here?
Yes.
yeah, we could, yeah. Because there is a whole section in the work plan on finance.
All right,
Yep,
all right, so finance committee, yes?
yes, yep,
And I don't know about finance head
yep.
Finance director, you have the finance
Yeah.
director.
and,
It's just confusing.
yeah. I don't even know, what's DPW, is that what we
Yeah.
call her? Is it called DPW?
Yes.
Yeah.
Would we be eventually inviting the head of DPW in here?
For what?
Nothing changes.
Yeah.
Major department head, huge expenditures, huge staff, I don't.
But
so
there's
I-
no change to them.
Right. So does that preclude bringing, should we, I don't necessarily think that should preclude bringing someone in.
Okay. I mean, we can
I
always
don't
add.
know that
to the
anything's
list.
changing with finance. I don't think anything is, we're proposing to change anything with finance, I don't think.
Well, there's questions there about the reporting and who's responsible for the budget and things like that. So there were some questions on that.
But that's a whole section we have to
Yeah,
go
right,
through.
exactly. But DPW is, I
DPW
mean, anybody, if
is-
somebody feels like they want to come in and talk to us, they can, but there's no change in the,
Unless
Yeah.
they're gonna absorb cemetery someday, if
Oh,
that's,
well, if we got there, then that would be a different.
Cemetery becomes part of the DPW, if we recommend that,
yeah.
then it does matter. So
Right, you're right.
maybe we
That's
just
a,
push
that's
them
a,
down the line,
that's a
but,
maybe. Yeah, yeah,
we've got a
You're
lot
right.
to look at already.
Yeah, I
which
know.
is-
Oh, it's- it's-
I'm worried about that.
Time.
I'm worried about that. If we do a
Yes.
count, there's quite a list here.
yep.
Yeah.
And I was just sitting here noodling, is there some way we could do this? Is there some automated way we could do some of this? I don't know. I don't know. By the
Some
way,
of them may say, we don't need to talk to
Right.
you.
I wonder if there
I don't
isn't, give them a chance to put anything in writing, I don't know. Town council, any reason to bring the town council in here to talk about any wisdom that town council has about the work that we're doing? Not about because anything's changing with the town council? Should we bring the town council in here in regard to the work that we're doing?
I don't see any purpose in bringing them.
At the
Specific
end of the
questions.
process, usually the proposed charter is actually, we will always recommend it be reviewed by the town council before it actually go for the town meeting.
Yeah.
Okay.
So maybe by the time we have a public hearing, maybe council could look at the draft at that point and red flag anything they thought was.
Because they may know of bylaws or things that are sitting out there that we have and we don't even know we have, right?
Yeah, yep.
Yep. Okay,
Okay.
good one.
And I don't know, is there any reason to talk, is school off? There's no reason to invite.
No, there's a work plan section, there's a
Okay.
section on the work plan for school.
All right. And then as my mind was thinking on this topic, were we asked to make contact with other towns? And is that in our work?
I just started this process, actually. And I've reached out to Groton, as I mentioned to you, because they just went through this, well, I shouldn't say just, but they have gone through it in our lifetimes, in my Littleton's lifetime. And but the town manager, who's the town manager now and started as a town administrator, but he actually worked in Littleton once upon a time before that. So some of these guys know him.
Yeah, Mark, yeah.
So,
Oh, I know Mark.
but he's, yeah, so, but he wasn't available the last couple of days when I called, so, but I'm gonna try, because I thought that would be a good conversation to have. What was the process, what do you think? And they have their charter and some of the, I mean, obviously, they have certain things that they've done, like police and fire, and dollar amount limits on things and so on, so why did you do that? How is it working, from his perspective, so you would be interested in, as another person to bring in.
I know Mark and.
Okay.
There were dynamics, power dynamics between Mark and the select board at times, and
Of course there's gonna be, I mean, that's,
Yeah.
that's.
Well, we're here too.
Huh?
There were
Yeah,
dynamics here,
absolutely. I mean,
Milton.
if everything's,
Yeah.
kumbaya
matter where you
all
go.
the time, that's not good either, right? I mean, you gotta have some
Yeah.
people
Okay.
with ideas, so.
You bring back
And if
memories
you have
now?
other ideas of
Yeah,
other
yeah.
places, I mean, I don't.
Flashbacks.
I think Groton would be great.
Okay, and it was interesting, because I pulled off a couple of charters from a couple of towns, Groton being one, and I think Medway was the other one, in the beginning of the process, and you kind of looked at me like, yeah. But now that we've gone through some of this, now I go back and look at them, and now I'm keying in on, oh, they're doing this and they're doing that, and
Yeah.
so, yes, somebody over, oh, Rob? Rob?
Yeah, I just want to say that, so in deciding that we weren't going to invite Council on Aging and LCTV, if MOUs exist, which I think they do, are we saying that we are going to remove the MOUs through whatever actions we're going to recommend? We're already of that opinion that we've heard enough from the select board or from Jim such that there's no need to discuss that with him, which personally I'm fine with. But I want to just make sure that as we're passing on speaking with them, that the rest of you are also still thinking that we're going to remove the MOUs.
Well, if there's an MOU, then we ought to give them the opportunity to come in and talk, if that exists.
Yeah.
And then somebody can say, they can say no, or they can, through you, they can say, yeah, we don't need to, or whatever.
Council on Aging, I know, is completely an advisory board right now.
Yeah, it's just, yeah, I know, that's what's, that's a direct.
So
that's
let
what
me, so let me throw out to Kevin's point in terms of the, or everybody's, the lengthy list. Might we just draft a 2 or 3 sentence, email statement to those that are appointed by the select board, and included in that group, I would say, is Council on Aging, LCTV, Conscom, and Zoning Board of Appeals, and just put out 2 or 3 sentences to those 4 saying, we're the charter, we're tasked with this, you have an MOU, we envision, do you want to speak with us, or do you envision no need to speak with us, and otherwise we'll take your absence as being indicative that you're fine with, a transition to a strong TM, should we go that way in our recommendation?
I mean, I think all the invitations that we send out will basically have that caveat in them. You don't have to come talk to us, but here's your opportunity.
Yeah, I will tell the board, yeah.
Yeah. So, but yeah, yep.
How many entities did we just list out about?
4, 5, 6, 7, 8, plus fire department, police department, plus if we do these 2, we just talked about, 10. I mean, some of these are gonna be 10-minute conversations, some of them won't be, some of them will be,
I think that was the original thought of teaming up and
right.
going out.
But it does make sense for everybody to
Oh,
hear all the
yeah.
conversation, so I think we're just gonna have to do it. And it may be some extra meetings for us, but
Yeah.
maybe that's still better than having to go out one-on-one and trying to meet up with people and do that kind of stuff, and more efficient overall.
Yeah.
Just don't know anything to do. I mean, you kind of have to put the opportunity out there and give them the chance, and some of them will say no, most of them are probably gonna wanna come, and we're gonna have to make time for it, because otherwise, we haven't, we all know. We wanna hear it now, not later, right?
Yeah, right.
But, and we'll see, I guess, when we do the first couple, we'll find out how much time we really need to allot for it. Open to suggestions and so on, but, and, Rob's point is legit, you try to get people in out and hope some of them will take it, but give them a chance to come.
I can imagine the elected boards will have a lot of input as opposed to some of the other ones.
Right. Yep. Okay,
Move it on.
So minor minutia with the police and fire, are we going to give them designated times that are not, does it matter if they're both in the room at the same time when each of them are talking, or should we have them, or I guess it's public meeting, so it doesn't matter, right?
yeah, but
But we should
There's the
designate a
only-
time that they know.
one versus the other,
Yeah.
so that they have their own time to
Yeah.
talk. How long do you think we should allow? Are you really gonna have that much to say, you think? Who knows? Get them in, you can ask a lot of questions. It gets very interesting, right? Half an hour?
Yeah, I think that's sufficient.
Leave it at that. If it runs over, it runs over.
Were they gonna do arrest us? Oh. Done.
Kick them out.
Okay, quickly, are we good with that? You wanna talk about minutes? You wanna vote on minutes? Someone? Make a motion?
Motion to approve the minutes from the last meeting?
Second.
Rob has raised his hand.
Oh, Rob's hand's up. Okay, Rob?
So I'm fine with the motion, and then I have another question separate from the minutes. But I'm
All right,
fine
we'll
with
do this, and then
proceeding.
we'll get back to you, Rob.
Yep.
I got a second. Questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
And we do,
Okay.
officially, do we have to do a roll call because,
Oh, because
You're right.
Rob's there.
Yep.
Yeah, you're right.
Okay. Rob, how do you vote?
Aye.
Karen?
Aye.
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 Betsy's aye. Rob?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, now we're official. Phew.
legal.
All right, Rob, your question?
The question is, on the work plan, we had identified a public hearing in September, and we seem to be not discussing that and what we would be presenting or making, known that we're holding a public hearing. So I just don't want to lose sight of that, because I fear that as we get into boards and committees, I at least think we should consider when's going to be the cutoff, or are we basically building towards we're not holding a public hearing in 2025?
I think we're gonna do one in 2025, but I wanna make sure we have the right amount of the document done, and I think that getting through this, what we're recommending for boards and departments is an important part of that before we go to a public hearing. Do people agree with that?
I'm
or
not,
not?
I'm not opposed, I just want to
Yeah?
just to make it known, it's September, and it seems like it's going to definitely slide,
Yep,
some months.
yep,
Is there a fall town meeting?
yes.
And approximately when is that?
November, probably earlier November.
So we probably
October
don't wanna be-
28th.
And that, I don't know, I don't understand the machinations around town meeting, but we probably don't want to be plus and minus the town meeting too much.
Right,
In
right.
terms of scheduling.
Oh, in terms of our forum, yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
The week, certainly the week before, probably not, but, so that probably, yeah, and then
So we
and then
ought to
Thanksgiving.
shoot for,
We make a good, you got Thanksgiving week, that takes a week out of
Right,
probably.
right.
Then you're into the holidays, yeah, and then
Right.
the rest of the year's
Yeah, that's
lost,
tough,
right?
I know.
Could the hearing be, like, what is the charter committee and what are the topics and you know what I mean? Rather than the recommendations, can it be more the process? So at least it's in front of people and, here's what we're considering. Strong town manager, what does that mean?
It could be a listening session, period.
Yeah.
It could be,
Maybe just.
these meetings have been public meetings for anyone who's cared to attend, but we could do a very brief, I suppose. The primary intent could be just what we're doing with all these people, is listening to them.
Yeah,
The-
as opposed to here are the recommendations, it's here's the process, here's the definitions, here's what it means when we talk about this, here are some of the implications.
Yeah, we can't do that, what do you all think?
And then at least it's still out there and there's still some public facing input or opportunity. I don't know if people would attend to that.
I don't know either. Anthony, something you want to say?
Well, yeah, just a suggestion. So, I think we're a little bit. I don't want to freak anybody out, but we're maybe a little bit off from the work plan a little bit.
Get closer to your microphone, Anthony, we can't hear you.
Oh, sorry. I think we're off of the. I don't want to scare anybody, but I think we're off the work plan just a little bit, in the sense that it was planned to have the public session in September. So, I think it's appropriate if the board wants to move that around. But we often find, just in terms of the substance of the public hearing, we often find that it's very useful to have done these parts up to the other elected officials, because those are often positions that members of the community are both most aware about. The town meeting, the town administrator and the select board, and the other elected boards, and that gives people something to sort of attach to that they can talk about, because sometimes a lot of what's in the charter is so removed from people's daily existence that just to talk about the charter generally doesn't generate a lot of sort of useful feedback for the committee. So, we often find with committees it's very useful to have the public hearing just about the few sections that you've worked on. And again, we intentionally load the front part of this with the most familiar parts of town government, because those are things that you and the public are going to be most familiar with.
Good point.
Okay, so we can revisit. Just to see where we are, to feel like, because I don't think we have to be done with all the interviews and so on, all that. Because we say, well, this is the way we're going, but maybe not have all those done at that point, but at least we'll be.
A progress report, here's where we are.
Or maybe, maybe after we have one or two of the meetings, maybe we'll be a better position to understand too where we are, what kind of feedback we're getting and so on, where things are. So,
And then we can probably, within the time span, we can find out when town meeting's gonna be, so we can stay away from that by like 2 weeks
yeah,
at
we've
least.
got that, it's in my calendar, but you okay if we put this one off?
Yeah.
I don't want to put you on the spot,
No,
but I really do respect your opinion on that, because
Well-
we do this uptime, and
Yeah,
I
I
like
think
you hold us
to
accountable a
Anthony's
little bit.
point, though, we do need to be a little bit more well-informed about what we're going to do with these elected or these committees or whatever we decide. I think it would be premature to do, the meeting with the public without having formed some strong opinions on which way we're leaning.
okay. All right,
Not to jump in too much, but I also suggest that it is the time to hear from the community, even if they're very unhappy with something. That way you can sort of say, we're leaning this way, but you're still at the point where you can change things,
Right.
So,
Absolutely.
so it's not so much about defending what's been written down, but just getting the reactions to them.
right, yeah, you said that the whole process through, nothing's done until it's done, so we want to hear about the issues up front, not afterwards, so, absolutely. Okay, then,
I do think we should try to push ourselves to still do it in September if possible.
I don't know how that's gonna be possible, if we only have one meeting in August and one meeting in September right now scheduled.
Is there anything that prevents us from having more than one meeting?
In the past, it was because of the scheduling with the select board and the Monday nights in here, so I could schedule more in September now that I can do other nights and so on. So I could try that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to,
Yeah,
I'm not
no,
going to
no, it's
volunteer
a good
everybody
point.
for more meetings, but
Well, but
I also want to
pay
make
me
sure
now,
we
pay me
stay on
later,
track.
Yeah, we have more flexibility now in scheduling, so.
Right.
When will we, when will we be ready? When will we have done the work that we just talked about, that we want to do? What does the work plan say, Anthony? What,
I think this is not unusual that we veer away from the work plan a little bit, but I think, unless I'm mishearing something, my understanding was, I think the next meeting was going to be dedicated to hearing from some of the boards that may be affected, or did you want the presentation on the other elected positions? Or I believe that was going to be in September.
No, that's the next, no,
That's
that's the
the
August
next
meeting,
meeting.
August.
Okay, so you will have had the presentation or received the information about the other elected positions. Presumably, you wouldn't have made any decisions until you heard from those representatives for the ones that you think are important to hear from until September.
Yeah, and if we get them all in September, we can try. So October's probably a more realistic time frame, but I don't think it has, I think we should push ourselves to do October. I do believe that.
Do we want to try to push for 2 in the month of August? I know it's summertime, but I don't know whether,
Try, I suppose. What do other people think? People around?
Yeah.
I can do it.
Sadly, I'm not going anywhere.
when's the current August meeting? It's late in the month or around the,
Yeah, I think it's late.
I don't have it on me.
Hang on.
Today's the 21st.
Let's see, 18th.
18th of August.
So,
So do we, so we've got the fire and police chief coming in for,
well, if they can,
yeah,
that's another good reason to have another date here, so if we have to.
yeah. And then Anthony and Mel are gonna do a presentation on something in the month of August, right?
The elected officials.
Elected officials.
Yep.
Do we think we can do police, assuming there's no time constraints by anyone, would we be able to do fire, police, and elected official topic all in one night?
Yes, that's the plan. That's already the
That's
plan.
the plan?
Mm-hmm.
And then if we did another meeting in the month of August, what would we try to do with that meeting?
Inviting some more of these, start inviting these people in. All right, you want to try that? Okay, maybe August 11th? Or would you rather go down to the 28th? 28th is
11.
What do we get down for right now?
11th? The
No,
18th.
The 18th,
18th is the current one.
which is,
So, yeah, so that would be then
which is 4
moving
weeks
the-
away.
police fire, that one up to the 11th if we could. And then having more people come in on the 18th.
That's good with me.
Okay, well, we'll try, I'll see if I can, yeah. If I can get that stuff done. Alrighty,
So when, sorry, I'm thinking of things. So Anthony and Mel are would be coming to which meeting? The 18th?
no, probably the 11th, because we want to get that elected info, so.
And does that
Oh,
work
yeah.
for you guys?
I'm pretty sure that, yes, I think that
11th.
works. I know Mel's on vacation for part of August, so, I mean, I don't think you're planning to have us for the 18th anymore, so,
I will
I don't think
confirm
it
that.
should be an
Don't take it off your calendar until I confirm it, okay?
okay.
But yeah, we'd like, if we'd like to, but in terms of your planning to have that elected information, maybe you already have it anyway. The elected
Yeah,
official one, that's the 11th.
we're ready to give that.
Okay.
Yeah, so we can give that on the 11th.
Okay,
I just
what
have to
else?
make, I'll be honest, I have to make sure that I don't have another committee
yeah.
then, but I'll just I'll let you know before
Okay.
we do our planning meeting.
Okay, and then, so we'll talk to you guys next Monday?
Yes.
That- Okay. All right,
And one last question, just as the micromanager in me. How are the invitations to all these people occurring? Are you doing it? Are
Well, I
you
will-
going
yeah.
through? Is there any communication that we should ask Jim to help us? Or should we apprise Jim of what we're doing so he's aware of what we're doing in case he gets
we're talking to
questions?
his people, that's a good point, no, that's a good point, yep, so we should either copy him or let him know we're doing this, so it's coming, yeah, I'm sure he probably knows, I'm sure he's watching or has people watching, but.
Okay.
But it's a very good point, Kevin, thank you for that, because we should definitely let him know that
Cool,
we're gonna be hitting on his people to,
cool.
they wanna come and talk to us.
I have a motion. Motion to adjourn.
Could I second?
Second.
All's in favor?
Oh,
Oh, Betsy, aye.
Oh, we have to,
Yeah, we have to do it.
aye.
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 Rob?
Aye.
All right, good night, everybody, thank you.
Night.
Good meeting.